Hi, I'm Fray Komiks. I am the content creator of Komiks ni Fray. Komiks ni Fray is a collection of digital comic strips uploaded in a Facebook page with the same name. The name Komiks ni Fray is actually a spin-off of another Facebook page by a fellow Dominican, a great preacher, and his page is Hugot ni Fray. And I asked permission to borrow the name and he gladly consented. So I started KNF in 2015, and at that time I was thinking how to create a faith-oriented content in the digital space. Nung time na yon, illustrators and comikeros are gaining popularity in the social media. I myself follow many of them. At the time, I really enjoyed Tunganga so much for his relatable slice of life content, and later Bunganga Memories for his convincing characters, no? And I realized that there are a lot of other comikeros out there, and what is fascinating about the growing number of comic creators today is that some of them have not really received formal training, but their artworks are very good and the way they execute their content was very easy to grasp. As in, ang dali lang magets. But this is not the first time that I got acquainted with comics, kasi way back in college, I've been following Manny Sobrera's Comics Machine Comics, in the newspapers. So to find Manny Sobrera in Facebook now and the comikeros together in the digital platform is somehow inspiring for me. And it inspired me to share what I can do as well. They may have different trainings. Some of them really studied the craft. Some of them developed their art style through practice. Nagsama-sama ang mga komikeros in the digital space, and they are all bonded by their passion for their art, for their craft. And looking back, I realized maybe that's the reason I find them fascinating, kasi I myself used to draw comics way back in grade school. Noon, parang simple illustrations lang, bata-bata, then I'll just put some bubbles, and then I let my classmates read them. And they patronize my comic strips, even that they are mere parodies of what we watch in the TV during the 90s, And it continued in high school. At the time, I was already creating my own original characters, and I ventured to some other genres na alam kong kakagatin ng mga classmates ko. For example, adventure or love story, etc. But all this creativity stopped when I went to college. Adulting happened and I have to pursue a different course. And then I realized that in every choice we make, it requires a renunciation. And then I started to work. I stopped drawing comics. Then after some turn of events, I wanted to join the Dominican order. So I entered the Dominicans in 2011. And I remember during an audience with the Father Provincial, he challenged us to make use of the social media very well. And when he told us very well, he meant to take advantage of the digital space as a preacher of the Lord. Then, naalala ko, ano ba yung kaya kong gawin? At ano ba ang dapat kong gawin? Ano ba ang pwede kong gawin? Then, naalala ko yung pagko-comics. I may not have developed my craft anymore, but my interest and passion for drawing was still there. And I realized that I still have the creative hat with me. So, kumbaga, first love never dies. And with the encouragement of a fellow brother who had the same interests and, let's say, the same interest of reading Kiko Machine and Tunganga Bunganga Memories, I started Komiks ni Fray. And then I joined the growing community of comikeros in social media. But unlike its contemporaries, KNF has a Catholic bent kasi ako ay isang friar. And usually, I post faith-inspired contents. Then, along the way, I figured out that the most challenging stuff in creating comics is content, especially when you're just crafting your brand. At this point, we should do some self-reflection. For example, ano ba yung comics ni Fray? Or in your case, what is the experience that you wish your subscribers feel when they browse your content? At the time, I just want to draw them to the scriptures. I just want to spark interest in the Sunday Gospel, to the life of the saints, to the tradition of the order and the church in a fun way. I don't want them to learn the Bible through comics, because I always believe that you can never really learn something about the Bible unless you really read the Bible. Or you cannot learn catechism unless you read the catechism. So these are just means to spark interest, to draw attention, to invite people to read the very sources of our faith. And then it also serves as an instrument for the people who are familiar with these things to review what they've learned before. For example, these comics allows them to remember what they've learned in catechism classes or the Bible stories that they love during Sunday schools. No? Ito yung mag-i-spark sa kanila ng aha moment, yung sasabihin nila na, o nga no, and with that abrupt reaction, usually they find it humorous. No? At this point, I want to share with you how I do it in Komiks ni Fray. What is the principle I follow, the humor principle that I follow for Komiks ni Fray. This is what I learned about the humor process in the past years when creating Catholic-oriented comics. No? The closer the comics strips to the experience of the readers, to what they are familiar of about their faith, and to the reality they were in, the most likely they would find it engaging and delightful. Here is where the truth comes in the humor process. No? The moment they spot how relatable the comic strip was based on shared knowledge and experiences, many of the readers find it humorous. Kaya natatawa sila dahil bakit parang, o nga no, nakakapogi nga yung face mask. Or kaya we are always have that classmate na laging nakaabang sa pintuan ng classroom. Or baka nga tamang tawaging nagzuzumbang gabi yung mga nagsisimbang gabi na medyo alanganin ng suot. No? They would only find it humorous if they have experienced these things. Or they have known or at least observed the reality themselves. Ito yung mga nakaka-relate ako moments. Comics also elicit humor when the readers are led to spot what makes the point incongruent to the truth portrayed in the lives of the saints or in the Bible stories. The subscribers of Komiks ni Fray find it funny, for example, how come a girl asked something from San Antonio which she did not lose in the first place? Or how come Eve suspected that she is not the only woman in Adam's life? Or how wrong to think that if one wears a flower costume, he is now ready to join the March of Saints as little flower. No? Here you surprise the readers, no, through these incongruences, and they find it humorous. I find out that some readers find delight in identifying the references in the Bible and in the lives of the saints implied in the fictitious story I relate in the comics. What did Mary mean, for example, when she said that she knew perfectly that Jesus touched the bread? Or why would Saint Anthony always get the most eggs during the Easter egg hunt contest? Or bakit safe si Pontius Pilate for sure mula sa virus? Or why would Saint Francis call the quarrel between the sun and the moon away magkapatid? Readers laugh when they are able to see the references implied in the comics, and in the way it helps them review what they've learned in the catechism class or in the Bible stories they've read. But sometimes meron namang mga comic strips that make a reader laugh for a time. Then, with a sudden apprehension of its underlying reality, a reader is abruptly led to introspection, kumbaga. In fact, if our illustrations and comics were able to capture what the readers feel at the moment and be able to point to them the gospel, the good news of our Lord Jesus Christ to them, it may not necessarily make them laugh, but at least we help them express a prayer of hope, a prayer which they find it difficult to say even in their most intimate moment with the Lord. And for me, that alone could be a way for us artists to radiate the joy that is meaningful only with Jesus Christ. My advice to aspiring komikeros and also to those who wish to become a content creator for the Lord, first things first, no? Be faithful in doctrine, morals, and worship. A content creator who does not read his Bible or learn his catechism, who does not pray as he ought or give as is expected, has nothing to say. And the more we know ourselves, the more we learn what we can do from what we can't do. And this is the point of being creative, is it not? To be able to create new things that are true, good, and beautiful to the best of our abilities while respecting the bounds of our limitations. If we want to be creative, knowing where we can be good at is the best place to start.